Welcome back to Hex and Harmony podcast. We are here today, Tegan and myself. Elite is not with us. She had something come up and she's away for a little while. We wanted to go ahead and get our, what I think is episode 10 out for you. And so we're recording with just us. So sad that Bailey is not here, but glad for ways that we can continue anyway. And she will be back for the next one, so that is fantastic. It just feels odd to me when one of us is not here, but that's life. Things happen. And that kind of ties into what we're talking about today with everyday magic and how things just happen sometimes, and we have to make the best of it no matter what's going on and things, because we don't always have an opportunity to do some big ceremonial magic, which is good anyway, because that's not my speed. I'm not into that kind of thing. But yeah, we're going to just talk about the everyday aspects of magic and how it ties into what we do in our daily, day-to-day lives without a lot of huge planning kind of deal. So if you want to start, Tegan, and tell us what your everyday magic looks like, a typical day for you.
Okay. Um, in my typical day-to-day life, I try to find ways to, oh, hello everybody, by the way. Trying to find ways to just honor my spirit and honor my practice in a day-to-day life. I remember it was some time ago, a friend of mine said, how do you do it? You're always just so calm about your witchcraft and about your practice and about your spirituality. They said, here I am reading all these books and studying all these things, and I just want to talk about it all the time and stress out about it and whatever, but you always just calmly go about your business. And I think it comes from being grounded and being rooted and just honoring your spirit day to day. So I don't really have a typical daily routine. I just kind of go do whatever strikes me at the moment. But, I think some type of quiet, meditative way to start your day is a great idea. And when I first wake up in the morning, the first thing I reach for is a cup of coffee. So when I'm just little touches like, stirring my coffee clockwise and saying a little chant with it to, bring me peace today, bring me good luck today, or, manifest something that day, just little things. And then I always, after I finish stirring my coffee, I draw a pentacle over the cup. And then as I'm drinking my coffee in the morning, I like it to, maybe the TV will be on, but, just reflect on my day and what do I have to do today, and just having even 5 quiet minutes before I get started on anything is a good way to stay grounded and start my day in a magical way. I light a candle with intention. Like if I sit down at the computer to do some writing or do some kind of work or something, especially if I'm doing writing, I light a candle with intention to help my creativity. And I just try to draw in whatever energies I need. That's really, there are so many.
Do you do all that like every day though? Is that like part of your everyday practice, or is it when you think about it kind of stuff?
Well, as far as the coffee, that's an everyday thing.
Well, yeah.
I mean, every morning I get up and I make my cup of coffee and I do say a little chant over it. And I do have my reflect time every morning where I just ground myself and reflect on what I need to do. And I do it with intention, and I do it, I consider it sort of a, just a preparation for my day, but I am drawing in the energies that I want from the universe. And I do the little chant. And when I sit down to do my writing, I do maybe not every single time, but most of the time I'll light a candle and say a chant to bring me some creativity. Um,
See,
just
I'm very
about,
more fly by the seat of my pants, and that's why I do that every day because I do those things. But I mean, I drink coffee every day, but
yeah.
I don't stir my coffee a certain way every single time or say a chant over it every single
Mhm.
time. I might think about it, but I don't necessarily do it. And I mean, a lot of what I do is not things that I do or tools that I use, but it's just thinking about it in my mind as I go
Mhm.
about my day. Like I will when I do things, I light candles a lot, hold crystals, meditate, whatever. And meditation is something I try to do every day. And I'm going to say right now, I don't even hit that every single day. But I ain't going to lie about it. Even though I teach meditation and everything, I'm human and crap happens and it doesn't happen every day. But I try to at least be mindfully aware of things during my day if I don't have a formal sit down and meditate time, even if that is 5 minutes or whatever. I still don't hit that every day. But as far as doing things and bringing it into my everyday, I don't do a lot of things magically. It's just in my thoughts and it's just, I guess, who I am. Maybe I don't do a lot of performative whatever, if you want to call it that,
Yeah.
because my my spouse is not magical at all. Our spiritual lives are vastly different. And so um just fitting things in with somebody who doesn't necessarily do the same things I do, it's kind of like I don't I'm not going to say that he's not supportive because he is in his way, but it's just not something that we share. And so it's more internal for me in terms of the magic and the witchiness. Does that make sense?
No, it does, because when I was married, so many years ago, it did make it more difficult when because he didn't share my beliefs either, my ex-husband. And so your focus is different. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
in
mean
the morning, you're
some we have some beliefs that we share because I am balancing like religious practice and belief with
mhm,
the magic and witchcraft thing. And so part of that we do share. Even the religious aspect, we don't share the same beliefs 100% on everything, which I think is important to remember that two people are never going to fully agree on
mhm,
something as personal as spirituality. So don't feel like that's wrong if you're in that kind of a situation with a partner because that's just human nature. We're different people. We're never going to fully agree with everybody 100% of the time. And if we are agreeing with somebody all the time, you kind of have to wonder, are you being true to yourself or are they being true to themselves? Or is somebody
exactly,
kind of like not being authentic to who they are? So
exactly,
there's that. But then when you bring in to your own personal practice two vastly different things, and you're balancing those to have the person you are making your life with not share that. Like I said, it's not that he's not supportive because he is, but it's just things that we can't do together or that it's more difficult for me to do in an open way. So
right.
that I think that's part of it, plus the whole my family kind of deal. My whole spiritual thing is vastly different from the rest of my family, other than my husband, and we only share part of it. But I grew up completely 100% very uber Christian, very I'm trying to think of the right word for it. Evangelical, fundamentalist Christian, and like my whole Jewish beliefs and my whole obviously witchy beliefs are very antithetical to the rest of my family. And so I don't talk about it with my family at all. I have one sister that I talk to about some of it with because
Yeah.
she's a little more open to talking about it. But other than that, we don't get that deep with it either. So it's like I don't get open about it. And that's one thing I like about this podcast and why I wanted to do it, because I wanted
Yeah.
somebody to talk to about things other than just like my business friends who may or may not share some of that, because my business is spiritual and spirituality is what I do in my business part of it. But just having somebody to talk to, that's what I like about this. And the three of us come together and we can talk about these things, and then we open it up to all these people to listen to us. But yeah, because of that, I find that a lot of my practice is very internal. And so I don't have a daily thing. Like I have an intention in my coffee every single day. I don't. I'm not going to lie and say I do, because I don't. I just get up, get my coffee, drink it, and then when I think about it, where it's like, yeah, I could have done that, but I don't. And so I will grab a candle when I think about things and I want to do things, but it's not an everyday thing. But that doesn't make me any less
No,
magic
no, it doesn't.
of a witch. It's just my everyday magic is very internal and very cerebral, I guess, is one way of putting it.
Yes, and I mean there is nothing wrong with that. And I think that I mean just listening to you talk reminded me of when I was married and I had to not I mean just like you're saying not hide it,
Right.
but you couldn't I could not or did not express it as openly as I wanted to. And so when I got divorced, I'm like, well, now I can have my witchy life. So I dedicated my new apartment was decorated with witchy stuff. I didn't go overboard. I think it was very tasteful. But I was able to do these things like speak out loud and say a
Mhm.
chant over my coffee and draw the pentacle or whatever. And it's just habit, like it turns into a habit. It's not
Right.
like, okay, now I'm awake, I have to go, do a spell on my coffee. It's just habit. I pour the coffee, I do the stir, I say the chant, and it just comes out as a habit after so many years. It's just not something I even think about. It's just something I do.
And it's funny you said that, like doing a spell over my coffee or whatever. 'Cause that's the image that my husband has in his mind when he thinks about it. It's like, do you ever see
Yeah.
me doing that? No. It's like, do some people do that? Yes, but do I do that? Does
Yes.
everybody do that?
I do that. And like when I go outside, I live deep in the woods. So I'm surrounded by trees and forest life. And I mean, there are certain trees, and I do not walk up to them and talk to them. I don't go hug the trees, but I do acknowledge some of them. I mean, there are some special trees around the property that I feel a connection to, like they're watching over me
Hmm.
in a good way.
Right.
And, I might just quietly mentally send them energy and accept energy from them. I mean, that's like a daily occurrence. And I'm trying to think of like other ways that people can, and I mean, after you do it for a while, it just becomes ingrained. It just becomes a
Yes.
habit. It's not like you're going out and trying to be witchy all the time. It just
Right.
becomes a part of your life.
Yeah. I get that. And it's
Um,
not for me, I'm not saying for other people, because I know some people do have to hide their craft for whatever reason, and I'm not here to shame that or whatever, because there are perfectly valid reasons to do that if you need to do it. Um,
mhm,
but for me, it's not that I'm hiding anything. It's I'm A lot of it is just being respectful of different people, because I do live with and around a lot of people. Even though I don't live with anyone in my family other than my husband, I do get together with my family regularly, and we talk and communicate, and I try to be respectful of their beliefs the way I want them to be respectful of mine. And some of them are, and some of them aren't, and that's part of why I don't talk about it, is because one, some of them aren't respectful, and two, because
yeah,
I don't want to get in a debate and be in a situation where I have to be overly mindful of, is something I'm going to say going to be taken as not respectful. So I just don't talk about it, because I don't want to say something that they think I'm attacking them, when that's never my intention, because I fully believe everybody has a right to believe whatever they want to believe spiritually.
mhm,
Um, no matter what that is, and I'm going to respect their right to believe it, but at the same time I want that same respect. So a lot of it's not that I'm hiding it, I just don't talk about it, as a way of respect going both ways.
exactly. I mean, I live next door to my mother and my brother, and so I see them every day. And my mother, is a Christian. She doesn't go to church or anything like that. She just believes in God. And the older she gets, the more she believes. I mean, it's just a spiritual and emotional thing. As you get older, you
Right.
start losing people, and you want to believe that God has taken them and that they're in heaven and that you're going to see them later. And I understand that and I respect that. And I am not going to upset my 72-year-old mother with, challenging her beliefs. I want her to have her beliefs that give her solace and give her comfort and whatever. So I'm not gonna witches don't proselytize.
Exactly.
And so, I have found over all these years ways to talk to her that does not lie about my beliefs, but also do not challenge her on her beliefs.
Hmm.
She talks about things and she'll say God, and I'll say the universe
Right.
instead of saying God. And just little things like that. There are ways to communicate to your family or with your family without going against your own beliefs and without, calling them out as a liar and trying to prove to them that, their religion is a dead religion that was, I mean, there's ways. If
Yeah.
you truly, love your family, you do not have to, draw a big pentacle on your forehead and walk around
Exactly.
and I'm a witch, and there is no such thing as this or that.
I
There's a
mean,
way to coexist.
there are plenty of beliefs out there in the world that I don't believe, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to
Mhm.
tell somebody that they're crazy or stupid or whatever for believing it, because heck, I could be wrong in the grand scheme of things. I mean,
I know. Who
who am I to
knows?
say that I'm right and they're wrong? I mean, whatever. It's just what you
Yeah,
believe. So, I mean, this is what I believe, and that is what you believe, and that's fine. I mean,
exactly. I try to be respectful. I mean, unless you're shaving your head and, you know, giving out flowers at the airport, then I think it's okay. As long as you're not signing all of the worldly goods over to some guy named Stan, who preaches out of the back of his van, then I might start worrying about you. But, for people who have whatever they believe, whatever gives them comfort, and wherever they get their strength, I respect that. And I'm not going to
I'm
try to
with
talk them
somebody,
down.
I will do things that are part of my beliefs quietly and what is reverently to me. But if it's uncomfortable to somebody and I'm in their home or whatever, then I'm not going to do it. Like I remember one time I had been visiting someone and it was coming up on Hanukkah, whatever, and they did not want me to light a menorah in their home. And it's like, fine, then I won't. I'll just go and do my Hanukkah celebration with other friends on one night of the 8 nights of Hanukkah, whatever. I'm not going to sit here and force my beliefs into your home if it's something that you are against, whatever. I mean, I'm respectful. I would expect the same thing if you came to my home. Don't do the
Yeah.
things I don't.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that doesn't mean that in the scheme of being respectful doesn't mean that I deny myself either. If I want to go outside in my yard and give an offering of tobacco, cornmeal, and coffee every morning to the earth, I'm going to do that. And who cares what my neighbors think? They'll get over it. I
Exactly.
mean, my neighbors don't care. They've seen all kinds of stuff like that from me. So if I go out and I start making a circle of cornmeal and tobacco, they're just like, there she is again. Whatever.
Yeah, I'm just trying to put myself in that situation. If I was at somebody's house and they were like, no, I do not want you lighting a menorah in my house, I would probably be a little bit offended. I would it's their house and I would be okay, like, fine. I think I would still be a little pissed
I mean, I
about
was
it.
a little like, yeah, it's kind of like sad, but at the same time, I'm like, if that's really what you believe, I mean,
Mhm.
okay, but then it's like, we're probably not going to have the same level of relationship, and that person and I didn't
Yeah.
have the same level of
Yeah. I mean,
relationship
I would
after that.
certainly never
But
be at their house on any kind of Jewish holiday ever again.
yeah, I mean, thankfully, it was like that was a very minor holiday for the Jewish tradition anyway, so it wasn't that big of a deal. It's not like it was Yom Kippur or whatever, and or Passover, and saying you can't do this, that, or the other. But normally, in that kind of a situation, if it was a big thing, I wouldn't have been traveling
Wouldn't
and
have been there
staying
anyway.
home
Yeah.
anyway. But
Yeah.
still, it's the principle of the matter in a way. Like you said, it was kind of disheartening and everything. But I was like, am I going to get mad about it? I could have, but at the same time, it's like I'll just go and visit other people on that night because
Yeah.
it's not like I was. Honestly, I didn't even have a menorah with me because I was traveling, and it's like, are you going to take a whole candlestick and candles and matches to go travel? I mean, sure, whatever you might, but I'm not going to travel with all that. I didn't even have it. But to have it just brought up like you can't do that while you're here, it's
Yeah.
like, that's fine. There's other people I can go visit, but at the same time, yeah, it was a little like,
Yeah.
whatever.
When
So,
when I say I'd be pissed, I guess I I wouldn't like be pissed and start a fight, but I think I
yeah.
would be offended.
It it definitely did leave a sour taste. I will say
Yes.
that. I respected what they said and I didn't do it. I wasn't going to anyway because like I said, I wasn't traveling with all that
Wow.
accoutrement. But to just be told that and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever. But I respected it, didn't do it, and went and visited other people for a night, had a place at their table for their holiday celebration, and it was all good. But it did change the relationship that I had with that person. And I'm like, I can't imagine personally having someone in my home that wanted to celebrate their holiday and I told them they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
I might not necessarily want them to include me in it, whatever, depending on
right.
who it was, but I wouldn't tell them specifically that they couldn't do it.
Yeah. Especially, I mean, lighting a menorah. I mean,
I mean,
I
that's
can
not even
see. I
like
know.
that's not even witchy at all, but
I know. I mean,
that's completely
I can
Jewish.
imagine. I can imagine, like, if I were not pagan and I realized the stigma of some things, and if I was just in some, muggle's house and they didn't want me casting a circle in the middle of their living room, that I can kind of understand their point when they don't understand and don't know. That I
Yeah,
can kind of
but
see, but
there's
damn,
a
lighting
huge
a
difference
menorah.
between lighting a menorah for Hanukkah and casting a circle for
I
Israel. Two totally different things there.
I know. I mean, no, you cannot cast a circle in my living room. I can kind of understand when it's coming from people who don't really know what casting a circle is, you know?
But again, you're probably not going to be casting a circle in their living room anyway.
Yeah, I wouldn't go to some stranger's house and say, "Oh, by the way, this is the evening of Samhain, and I'm going to cast my
I totally was not even traveling with a menorah. They have travel ones, they have electric ones, whatever. But I mean, it's that wasn't even whatever. It wasn't even on my radar to do in their house.
Oh my
Whatever.
God. One thing that I do not do in my daily practice that I always say I'm going to do and never get around to it is like a daily tarot pull.
Me too. Oh my gosh.
I keep saying I'm going to do that
Like I'm
every
gonna
day.
do that, but I never do it.
I
I won't say
don't.
I
I
never
never
do
do
it.
it.
I never do it first thing in the morning. I'll say that. I
Oh
do
no.
it occasionally when I think about it later in the day. I'll be like, dang it, I need to start doing that. Let me pull one right now, and then tomorrow I'll start, and then tomorrow I never start.
No. I mean, I'll do a tarot card reading when I feel like I need, to consult the cards. But
Yes.
as far as the daily practice, I always say I really need to start doing that. And I don't. I even bought these really cool stamps, like ink stamps, rubber stamps. A whole set that's like each one for a tarot card. So when you do your daily pull in your journal, you just stamp the cards you pulled in your journal and then, do write out your whole thing. And I've never used them. I bought them I bought them so that I could, and they're so adorable.
That's like from our last episode when we were talking about dream magic, and it's like I really need to start writing down my dreams when I wake up because I remember them a lot. Have I started doing that? Hell no.
No. I need to. I mean, I want to do a daily card pull, but I don't think about it. It hasn't become a habit for me.
I have actually occasionally thought about writing down my dreams since then. I was like, I really should write that down, but then I just don't.
Oh no.
But at least I'm thinking about it more. And like this morning, I woke up and for a while I was like, that was an interesting dream. And now, of course, I can't remember it. But I was like, I remember this, this, this. Of course, it's been hours now, but did I write it down this morning? No.
It's very hard to start a new habit.
It really is.
I read a book somewhere some time ago that said it takes 7 times to
I've read
develop a habit.
21, and I don't even know if 21, 7, whatever. I don't even know if there's a number. I just think you
I
got to
don't
make
know
yourself
either.
do it over and over and
Yeah.
over and over and over and just keep doing it until you don't think
Hmm.
about it anymore and just do it.
Yes,
But the getting started is the hard part.
it is. It is.
Nah, I haven't done that yet. No. Should I do it? Sure. Do I want to do it? Yeah. Am I going to do it? I don't know.
Like, I have my tarot cards in my hand right now, and let me see. Maybe looking at them and feeling them will make me, let me see.
But then again, if I tell myself I have to do it, Or if somebody says I need to do it, that makes me rebel, and then I'm like, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, well, if somebody tells me to do it, I won't do it specifically because they told me to. And that's anything in my life. If someone
Yep.
tells me to do something, I'm
You
not
tell
going to
me
get
to
up and
do
do
it, or tell me I need to do it or have to do it.
it. Hmm.
That's the magic words to guarantee I won't do it.
I'm doing a tarot pull right now. I'm shuffling the cards. I have no question in my head. I'm
And
just saying,
I
this
find
is
that that's
my,
the best, whatever the universe wants me
yeah.
to know.
Is there a message that you have for me? Let's see. I'm shuffling, shuffling. Okay. Do, 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 do. I pulled the Six of Cups.
What message do you get from the Six of Cups for yourself?
Well, um, I mean, just the messages that are popping in my head when I look at it is just friendship. I mean, I think it's just me and you sitting here talking.
That sounds right to me.
It's I mean, okay, this is the Llewellyn deck from Llewellyn.
Hmm.
And I love this deck because it's all based on Welsh mythology.
Perfect
And
for you.
yes, that's why I love this deck. Yeah, I mean, it's just a very happy little scene. There's two, well, I mean, that might be a boy, but it kind of looks like a girl to me.
It's
Uh,
not gendered.
yes.
They don't have a gender.
But they're just like in the backyard. There's six chalices. Some of them are full of flowers, and one of them are full of apples.
Ooh.
And it's just a very nice little happy domestic scene. Two people, and that's the message that I'm getting just looking at it is friendship. Just a happy little domestic scene.
Well, there you go.
Well, that was fortunate.
Yes. Why
That
don't we
was
do this every
fortunate.
day? See, that doesn't take long.
No, it doesn't.
And it's like, why don't we do I even have a deck of oracle cards on my phone in an app. I don't even have to carry cards. You just open the app and just say, give me a random card. And I still don't do it. But I kind of
Oh,
want to say, what is wrong with me? But nothing is wrong with me because that's just
no.
who I am. It's just that I'm the fly by the seat of my pants switch. And it's like,
Yes.
what I think about in the moment is what I do. And yeah,
Hmm.
which,
We have busy lives.
yeah,
Everybody has busy lives.
I have a job, I have my business, I have volunteer work, I have the podcast, I have my
Mhm.
husband. Thank goodness I don't have children. I don't know how I would fit them in.
If we had children, it would be a hectic, stressed out.
Obviously, my children would take priority and something
Yeah.
else would not have a place. But
Yes.
not gonna say that I would not make time for my children. Obviously, I'm kidding.
And I'm reading now. I opened the book to read the description of the card as told by the book
Hmm.
with my tarot cards. I always like to read it after just to see how accurate my intuition was with what the author of the deck meant for it to be. And it says friendship, play, remembering past happiness and childlike innocence, nostalgia, pleasant company, drawing strength from shared experiences, being understood and appreciated, teamwork, taking pleasure in simple, wholesome activities and surroundings, and seeing the good in life. And that's pretty much what I got.
Isn't that wonderful?
It is. Now, see, I am going to make a note in my brand new tarot journal. Well, first I have to get a brand new tarot journal. I have to pick a notebook to be my tarot journal, and I will make a stamp, and that'll be my first daily tarot draw.
Are you going to make this your everyday practice now? Are you
I'll try.
try
We'll
to make it your
see.
everyday practice?
We'll see. I will report back in the next episode. Yeah, I mean, it really is just getting yourself to do it,
No,
you know?
none of this is hard. I mean, I do not ever, well, I won't say I don't ever. I do with other people sometimes do like ceremonial magic type of thing, but I never do it by myself. And in the past 5 years, let's say, because five is a good number because we're 5 years from the start of the pandemic, whatever. In the past
Mhm.
5 years, I have not ever done ceremonial magic, like magic thing, like performing a ritual with other people type things. Now, yes, I have performed rituals for myself, small things, but
Mhm.
that's different. That's I consider that my everyday magic, even if I'm not doing it every day, because it's
Yeah.
more folk magic, more kitchen witchery. Not that I'm a kitchen witch, because we already had that episode and we all learned I don't cook. I am not. But just home and hearth type thing. But even though I'm not a domestic home and hearthy person, I remember before my husband and I got married, I told him, I said, I am not a domestic goddess, so don't expect that. Because you're not going to get it with me. That's what you want. Go find somebody else. Um, yeah, but just simple stuff, just part of your everyday life, even if it's not something you do every day, it could be something you do every day. Because I don't know very many people who are out there doing these big ceremonial things every single day.
Yeah, no, every
It's
single
exhausting.
situation doesn't call for that. I
Exactly.
mean, there are, some situations where you feel like you need to perform a whole big old ritual and draw a circle and call the quarters and do all these kind of things. But it's not something that you need to do all the time. I mean,
Right.
I used to do them. I used to make sure that I did one on every Sabbath, but lately in the past few years I haven't. I've just like quietly remembered it's the Sabbath,
Right.
whatever, but just know, maybe do a tarot spread, maybe do a meditation or something to try to connect with spirit guides or
Yeah, I mean,
whatever.
that's what my
But
Sabbaths and my holidays have been lately. It's just like the day of or leading up to, I might be aware of it and be like, what can I do quietly at home by myself?
mm,
So,
but
yeah, I'm not out there doing all that. I mean,
yeah, certainly not on a regular basis. There are special occasions and there are certain things that call for it, like big things that call for it.
speaking of,
But
I created a spell that it can actually be done individually, but it would work great as a big, like, ritual spell to do with other people for safeguarding democracy.
nice.
I,
Are you going to share that with me and the listeners?
Yes, I actually made it into a blog post on my website, so I will put a link to that in the show notes for this episode, A Spell for Democracy. So be looking for that. I'm not going to tell you
So,
what to believe. I think probably most people going to be listening to this going to probably think like we do,
mhm.
more on the liberal side of things. But I'm not here to say if you're more of a conservative, which whatever you think democracy should look like, you could do this. I'm not gonna whatever floats your boat. I respect your right to believe what you want to, just like with um with religion and spirituality, politics goes hand in hand with that. So
Mm-hmm.
do you,
You,
but I think most people listening to this probably think along the lines, or at least similarly inclined to think along the lines, or be open to it, at least thinking like we do. So I have that spell I created. I sent it out to my email list. I put it on my blog for people who aren't on my email list, although anybody who wants it can get it that way and can join my email list or not, blah, blah.
mm-hmm.
But I will share the link to that in the show notes.
That is awesome. You are also welcome to go to my Substack and write a little article and link to your blog
I will
also.
do that.
And, you know, my little 10 subscribers on my Substack can see it too. But
That's going to grow. Everybody starts from
yeah,
zero and has to go from
exactly.
zero to whatever. So 10 is good because 10 is more than zero.
Exactly. It's 10 times more than zero.
So, yeah,
Really, it's 10 times more than one.
yeah, true. If you want to get technical about it. And if you want to be really specific, yeah, 10 times zero is still zero.
Yes. But,
It's what you're saying.
but there are many, many ways to get back to the topic of the podcast. There are many, many ways that you can pull or lean on your spirituality throughout the day without being what I call super witch, you know, just little daily things you can do to honor your spirituality, to honor your goddess if you have a specific goddess, or just, you know, to bring a little bit of witchiness into your life. And you, I guess the moral of the story is you don't have to be a super witch. You don't have to be casting circles left and right and, you know, calling in the quarters and, you know, bowing at your altar 24 hours a day and all this kind of stuff
If it
to be a
requires
real
that, I might as well give up now.
I know. I mean, I probably shouldn't even say that because I don't mean to denigrate anyone who does,
No, I
but
mean,
I
that's
think people who do,
perfectly valid for people who do that kind of thing.
yeah,
But it's equally valid if you don't.
yes,
And if you're the
yes,
type of witch that doesn't know what phase of the moon we're in or what astrological sign the moon is in at this exact moment, that's fine because you know what? I don't know either. And I'm going to be the first to sit here and admit that when the three of us are planning to record these podcasts, we have to look at a calendar to see when we need to have it go live on the new or full moon to know, oh, we need to get a recording in. So, you know, we
yes,
have to look it up too. We
yes,
don't just know these things. We have
yes. My problem is because 95% of the time I don't know what the date is, and I have to figure out what is today. And then, so what is the date of the next moon? Because I 95% of the time, I don't know the date or the day of the week.
So this is
I
how
have to
fly
think.
by the seat of the pants we are. We have to look it up, and we're actually recording this the day before it has to go live. So yeah,
Exactly. Exactly.
the day before it's going to be posted, afternoon before we're recording this, and then I get to edit it, and she gets to make graphics and everything. So we're not like super with it here doing this either.
Exactly. Well, you know, life happens and things get busy, but we do have to record. We have to record something and have it in the can for an emergency.
Yeah.
Because we are kind of pushing it to the limit this time. We do have to get it all done
I
by
think
tomorrow
last time we did it the day before as well, but no, because it was Mother's Day then, so we did it on
night.
Saturday.
Oh,
Recorded on
yes.
Saturday for it to go live on Monday. And this time we're actually recording it on Sunday afternoon, so we're even cutting it even more close this time.
Yes. So everybody can see that we do not plan things. We just get
No,
on here and we talk.
Yeah.
But
So there's that. So if you're like, what is this? These old ladies talking about magic and witchcraft, they don't know what they're doing. You're right, we don't. We don't. We just get on here and talk.
the truth shall set you free.
Not gonna lie. We have no plans.
We do not have plans. We don't. We do not plan these things.
But we kind of designed it that way. So just be
Yeah.
honest. We kind of designed it that way because we thought it would be more fun. Although here I am earlier this week going, we really need to get together. We really need to
I
record.
know. I know. I know. And Belit left us and she's off traveling somewhere and we had to pull it out of the air ourselves.
And then we're like, we're going to do it Saturday. And then did we get to it Saturday? No, because life happened.
Exactly. But I would love for anyone who is listening to send us an email either at one of us, either Tegan or Michelle, at hexandharmonypodcast.com or on the website, just comment on the show notes on the website and tell us what you do, in your day-to-day life to keep the magic in your life. Like what part of your daily routine feels the most magical right now? And or have you ever felt disconnected from magic and found it again in something very simple? And tell us about that so that we can talk about it on a future podcast.
We'll read it. We'll share all about it, unless you specifically tell us not to. I mean, if you want
Right.
to tell us, but you don't want us to tell the world, then just tell us that, and we will respect your wishes and not tell
Yeah.
anybody. But
Yes.
yeah,
True. If you send us something and you don't want it shared on the podcast, just let us know and we will respond to you personally, but we will not talk about it on the podcast.
but if you do not say not to share it, then just know it's probably going to be shared at some point.
Yes.
Just to say,
Just a warning. Yes, like when was it? A few days ago, I walked outside and I almost walked straight into 3 different humongous spider webs. And I took that as some kind of something with significance, like what is the universe trying to tell me? And I mean, for me, just my intuition, I mean, the spiders would symbolize creativity and just, like the web of life. Maybe, in some beliefs, the spiders are the weavers of fate and just the creativity of making something, making a web. So that was like a big signal to me, and I don't 100% yet know what it means. But I'm talking humongous spider webs.
I'd be like, something's trying to trap me. That's what I would think.
Really?
Spiders trying to trap me in its web. Honestly, I'd first be like, get the F away from me. And
Well,
then when I was away from it and knew I was safe and it wasn't going to get me,
yeah,
the
first 2
what
spider
message
webs.
did that have for me? But that's not the first thing that goes through my head. I'm like, get the F away from me.
I know, and I didn't think of something trying to trap me. See, now you've got me thinking, what the hell?
See, most people probably wouldn't, because most things, like if you read oracle cards or whatever, it's like spiders symbolize this, and you mentioned the weavers, and I've seen that. I'm like, nah, what I get is they trying to trap me.
The first 2
in their web. That's what they trying to do.
I mean, they were humongous spider webs, but the first 2 spiders in each of the webs were like little teeny tiny spiders. And then I was coming back into the house and I was walking under a tree because there are trees everywhere. Like I said, I live in the woods. And this spider web, I swear to God, was at least 5 feet wide.
Oh my, that is huge.
It was huge. And the spider sitting in the dead center of it was the biggest freaking spider I have seen in my whole. It
As far
looked
as
like a scary,
accidental,
evil,
I
poisonous
do not
spider.
like spiders. No, no.
I don't know what kind of spider it was. I was like, because it was nighttime. Okay. So I almost ran into it, and thank goodness my flashlight just kind of shined on it, and I saw the web and stopped. And it was like 5 inches in front of me, and I was holding my flashlight, like trying to see the spider, and I was looking for like markings or something that I could come in the house and look it up and see what kind of spider it was because it looked vicious. I don't know. It was huge. It was like it wasn't as big as the palm of my hand, but it was big. But you're right. I did. I mean, even I know I said it was a dangerous, vicious looking spider, but I did feel a little guilty when I picked up a stick and knocked that shit down because I did not want to walk into it again.
I wouldn't feel guilty. I'd be like, get away from me.
But it did. And so now you're making me think, is something or someone trying to trap me, or am I feeling trapped?
Probably not, because I think that we all have different things that we look at in different ways. And
Yeah.
that's one thing I don't like about going by guidebooks that come with tarot cards or oracle cards or whatever,
Yeah.
and going more with your intuition on what you get out of it, because all of these things are very image based, and we have different ways that we react based on our life experiences. And like your first instinct seeing that spider in that web is totally different than what my first instinct was. And I
Right.
think that the universe is trying to tell you something that has to do with weaving or creativity. It might use a spider in a web for you because that's the first thing that comes to your mind. But
Mm-hmm.
but universe, spirit, God, whatever, wouldn't use that for me because that's not where I go. So that's not the
Right.
message I'm going to get when I look at that. So to have
Right.
somebody prescribe for me, this means this means this symbolizes this, that's good for like maybe animals that you don't have or symbols that you don't have any kind of reference point for.
Right.
But if you have any kind of lived experience, you have some kind of imagery with something.
Yeah, some kind of association. The universe will talk to you in a way that you will understand.
Exactly. And what speaks to me is not necessarily going to be what speaks to you. See, when I think of spiders, the first thing that comes into my mind is from Gone with the Wind, with Mammy looking at Scarlet, telling her that she's going down to Savannah to sit like a spider to capture Ashley Wilkes and this, that, and the other. And for good or for evil, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that that's the best imagery in the world, especially if I'm trying to do work in my life to combat things,
Yeah, that's too funny.
because of that novel and that movie. That's the first thing that comes up is I see Hattie McDaniel in my mind, and I hear her talking to Scarlet saying, and you're just gonna go down there and sit like a spider.
Oh, we have invoked Gone with the Wind on Hex and Harmony. No, when I see, I mean, I do not want a big tarantula creeping up in my house, but when I think of a spider, the first thing I think of, well, is Charlotte's Web.
See, I've read that book. I like that story. But it's not the first thing that comes to my mind. Like, can I get there? Yes. But is it the first thing that comes to my mind? No. So I don't think that the universe is going to use a spider to get that kind of a message across
Right.
to you, but it might for you because
Right.
that is the first thing you think of. Like you might later get to the point of thinking, oh yeah, somebody's trying to trap something like spiders, webs, trap, but that's not the first thing you think about.
Right.
And that's not
Right.
to say that I'm bad and you're good, or you're good
No, it's just
and I'm
what
good or
we,
whatever. It's just
yeah.
like, and that's not the only reference point I have for spiders and traps either. But that's like this big thing that comes into my mind, and you know, it,
Mm-hmm.
it just is. But I know that that's not, necessarily the message that's coming across. But
Oh my goodness.
so we went there.
Okay, so what else?
I don't know. I think after that, I mean, what else is there to say?
Okay, so I guess this is a good point for us to sign off then. Um, Send us an email or leave a comment on the website or on YouTube, or I think Spotify has a place to leave comments too on the podcast. And go read Michelle's blog for her democracy spell, because I know I'm going to as soon as we get out of here. And other than that, everybody, we will see you in a couple of weeks.
For what it will probably be episode 11, I'm guessing. Let's see. We have 2 in January, February, March, April. This is the second one in May. So, yes, this is 10 because it's the end of the second one in the 5th month. So, yes, the next one after the one you're listening to now,
Will
which
be
you could
11.
actually be listening to this in June or later, 2025. Who knows when you find us? But for us recording it, it's the end of May 2025, and it's our 10th episode. So the next one will be 11. Yes, this is how we think. I mean,
So, everybody who's listening in the United States, have a happy Memorial Day.
yes. And thank you for everything you've done to give us a Memorial Day for those that it applies to.
Yes. Thank you to all of the veterans. Isn't it a veteran? It's not a Veterans Day,
Veterans
but
is
it
in
is a
November.
military thing.
Memorial Day is for the military
Workers?
service people who died and gave their life.
Oh,
So thank
okay.
you for the ultimate sacrifice
Yes.
for giving us that.
Yes.
Yes.
Happy Memorial Day and blessed be y'all.
Blessed be. Have a great weekend. See you next time.